Thornby has released some really difficult raids. In this video, I'm going to be going through the raid in difficult mode, aka the hard mode, where each boss has two phases instead of one. I know a lot of people have been struggling with this. A friend of mine, which I used to raid with in Tarisland, actually defeated this boss in EU. So make sure you guys check out his channel. But I'll be making a full guide on how to do each of the bosses, and hopefully it will help you guys out to be able to finish the raid and get those juicy loot. So let's just jump into it. As a tank, what you need to watch out for here is the DK stack. If you get 30 DK stacks or debuff stacks, you basically get petrified. So you want to watch out for that. And the other thing as a tank is you want to be facing the boss away from the group. On his third attack, every third attack, he puts a line that stays on the ground. So make sure that you're trying to stack those lines on top of each other and keeping it away from the rest of the group. Boss will put purple circles that grows on each of the players. Make sure you guys are standing apart from each other or you will fear each other. Also, make sure you're blocking the mechanics from the boss, because while he's putting the purple down, he's also jumping into the ground and making sure he does a huge AoE damage. Make sure you're blocking and watching his patterns. Unlike easy mode in this raid, the hard mode actually spawns more pillars, and you want to make sure that you're interacting with them when they spawn so you can start using them. This time, I would highly advise people to use 2 players on each pillars to make the interaction go much faster. Now, what you want to do here is you want to find out which color is the most of. If there's most of the blue color, you want to make sure to swap the color of the red ones. The way you do it is you have people with the red marker on top of the head go to the pillars that has the red marker on top of it and block. Once all the pillars have swapped to the correct color, which is either all of them are blue or all of them are red, the boss will get stunned and you can do damage. Now, this is extremely important. When the boss is about to hit 50%, he's about to start phase 2, which you don't see in easy mode. What that basically means, when he hits phase 2, there's a new mechanic to the statues where he adds orbs. I will explain that mechanic later. The main way people are doing the mechanic right now is pushing the boss really hard when the boss is about to hit phase 2. The way you do this is you wait till the boss is about 51% HP, and then you wait till the mechanic is over and the pillars appear, and then the second the pillars appear and you interact with them, you go full DPS all in with remedies and guardians to push him as far down as possible. This way you can actually skip the yellow mechanic and finish the boss. In this team, they are also using 1 tank to add additional damage, which you can also do as long as the tank is careful with his petrified stacks. So once it is done, you have interacted with the pillars, you want to start pushing the boss down from 51% and as much DPS as you can. Hopefully you're only using 1 tank for this, which will really help you out a lot killing this boss. Aside from that, it's a very rinse and repeat mechanic until you get to the last phase where you're going to start getting orbs. But try to push the boss down, TM, use your remedies, use your DPS buffs to make sure that the damage goes down on the boss, and make sure you're dodging the mechanics, the tank. Have to be careful of not destroying any pillars. There has been and rage mechanics on this boss. That usually happens if you fail the pillar mechanic or you break pillars. The boss will get enraged. It's not because you don't have enough damage. It's because you're doing the mechanic wrong. So as long as you're doing the mechanic correctly, you're interacting with the pillars, and you're making sure that the pillars don't break by positioning yourself, you're good. Also, one player does get a mark on his head. That player has to be careful. Make sure you just move close to the boss and not face any pillars so the boss doesn't break any of them. Now, once the second phase starts, it either starts at 50% if you have not been pushing it and you're only doing the mechanics. But if you actually push it, once the second phase starts and he starts getting wings, he's going to start doing double quick block. So one dodge roll block and then a block right after. So here you want to be on your toes, making sure that you're following up with the quick blocks, or you're most likely going to die if you fail this block mechanic. Now, if you're doing the cheese mechanic, this is all the DPS race. At the end of this, boss is going to explode everybody and do an AoE wide attack if you're not fast enough. And this happens when the pillars spawn. Once the pillars spawn again, they will have a yellow barrier around them. And if you don't kill the boss within this time, they're all going to explode. Now, if you're doing the mechanic correctly, what you want to do is at 50%, the pillars are going to spawn with yellow orbs on top of them. It's going to say one yellow orb, two yellow orbs, or three yellow orbs. You want to basically knock the yellow orbs into the pillar to unlock it. That's basically how the second mechanic works. Now for the second boss, it has two phases. It's gonna be the normal phase, what you see in easy mode, where you kill two different bosses, and then it's gonna merge into one big boss at the end. Now you want to have 6 players on each side because you want to have 6 players getting the fire debuff and 6 players getting the ice debuff. Now, depending on how you want to play it, you can either swap between the bosses or you can stay on the same boss. In my opinion, the best thing is just to stay on the same boss. And when you get the debuff, the stacks, what you want to do, or the chill debuff or the fire debuff, what you want to do is you want to move to the other boss, remove the debuff by getting hit by the circle AoE around the boss, and then go back to your boss. In my opinion, that's the most effective way. But if you want to swap the team going back and forth between bosses, you can also do that. Now, you want to make sure you want to pushing the bosses at the same pace, because at 72%, 38%, and 8%, you're going to get a debuff called the fever debuff or hyperthermia debuff. Now, if the bosses are at 72%, or one of them are, you'll get a debuff, but the other ones won't get it. So you can't remove it by touching each other. So it's extremely important that each of the bosses, that you're controlling the pace of where the HP is dropping, and when you hit 72%, they have to hit at the same time, and 38 and 8%. Now, when you get a number above player's head, of course, you want to have 3 players stay inside of this. It's not the most dangerous mechanic, because if you do fail it, it's just going to create a large AoE around that player doing damage. So if you do fail it, make sure you're standing away from the group. Now, when the ice boss starts gathering a cold energy and gets a shield, what you want to do is you want to have all the DPSs, excluding the tank and the healer, come over and start DPSing down the shield. So everybody, all the DPS, only the tank and the healer stay on fire. All the ice and everybody comes over and starts DPSing the ice boss, and then goes back when the shield is done. Like I mentioned earlier, at 38%, you're going to get the debuff that will one-shot you if you don't touch another player with the opposite debuff. So again, if you're on ice, you want to touch the player on fire. Now, what this team does is they just completely touch each other and swap bosses, which is fine, but you can still stay on the same boss. It's up to you how you want to do it. Just make sure you're touching a player to remove that one-shot debuff.
Lens.
Opa. Bomba.
Now make sure you're remembering to cleanse your other debuff. Remember, you're still getting stacks, so you want to go to each of the zones to remove the debuff and go back to your boss. And then at 8%, you're going to get the same mechanic again, which will basically one-shot you. Also, when you're tanking the fire boss, make sure you're not facing him. When you're going to remove your debuff, make sure you're facing him towards the wall. That's why the tanks are meeting on one corner of the map, because they don't want to make sure that the fire AoE doesn't hit all the other players. Now, you're not done once each boss reaches 0%. That's when second phase starts. He basically merges into one boss. He will have some new mechanics, but basically most of the mechanics are going to stay the same. As a tank, you want to be facing the boss away from the group because he does frontal attack several times. So just have the group all the way behind and the tank in front of the boss. The boss will be launching attacks in several patterns. This is very easy to dodge. Just make sure you're watching where you're standing, dodge the circles, dodge the crosses, and overall just keep making sure you're keeping an eye on where you're standing. You're also still getting a debuff here. You're getting either the fire debuff or the ice debuff. Just make sure you're going or walking into the opposite of the debuff to remove it. You're going to get a fire mechanic underneath your feet. Certain players will get it. Make sure you guys are standing on the side and not touching each other. Now, once the boss hits 50%, he's going to be doing some new mechanics. It's a third phase to the fight, you can call it. Here, you want to make sure you have 6 players on each side of the bosses. It's not necessary, but you want to be blocking the ice attack on one side and the fire attack on the other side. So make sure you position yourself correctly during this phase. You want to make sure you're watching out for the mechanics. Remember, you're still getting the cleanse debuff that you have to remove, but also the boss will fire off some ice waves that basically cross the map. Now, the ice waves and the fire waves, you have to watch out for this because this is a one shot if you fail the block. So make sure you're blocking the waves that are coming and make sure you're keeping an eye out for the waves. Now, the rest of the mechanics are a rinse and repeat. The waves will be coming, so you have to block them. You have to position yourself because the boss will be attacking on the ice side and fire side. Once the boss drops below 50%, my best advice for you guys is to pop your guardians, pop your remedies. You want to finish off the boss as fast as possible under the last 50%. Now, the mechanics aren't too hard on this boss. You just have to make sure that you're doing them correctly, watching out for your cleanse stacks and your debuff, but most of it is rinse and repeat because it is a very long boss fight. So good luck on this boss, and I hope you guys finish it. Now, for the last boss, Calanthia also has 2 phases this time, and the first phase is very similar to the easy mode, rinse and repeat of many of the mechanics. There's some different things like stacking that we will take a look at, but overall, many of the same mechanics at the start of this boss. First mechanic of the boss is it will turn you into a mirror dimension. You kind of see it on the screen by turning like a different color, and it will make sure to take in certain players into an orb which cannot move until you destroy the orb. So here you should prioritize defeating all the orbs ASAP. Right after the orb, unlike the easy mode where it says 6 players in each circle, here you actually have to split up. You can see how many players are needed by how many circles or orbs are on top of each of these circles. So make sure you're standing in them correctly. Some says 2, some says 3, and then make sure you're blocking what the big ad is trying to hit you. If you range, make sure you defeat the big ad. If you're tanking the boss, or you're in the main tank of the boss, or you have the aggro of the boss, make sure you're not standing far away from the boss, because if you are, it will pull you in and probably one-shot you. So make sure if you're tanking the boss, you have the aggro, stay close to the boss. Second thing, if you see the lines pop up, each player, so 6 players are going to get lines, make sure you go far away from each other to split those lines up so they don't do damage. Now she does light up a player and throws lightning at them, so if you do have the light up, make sure you're blocking. When the 4 ghosts spawn, the boss will start throwing those blades that will follow each player. Make sure you guys are running away, either morph up or run away, don't get hit by them. At the same time, we'll also be doing this line towards one player. Make sure you're dodge rolling, usually it's the tank. If you fail the dodge roll, you most likely will die. Then the boss will follow up with doing a AoE mechanic, which basically will do like 4 or 5 waves, so AoE damage. Here, you just want to make sure that you're topped up. A blood devo can be really good here, or a little bit of healing, or some, shields will be really good here. So make sure you're just topping players up here. Boss is going to spawn orbs again. Make sure you are defeating the orbs ASAP. And then make sure you walk through the portal to keep your stacks down. It's going to be a rinse and repeat mechanic for the rest of the fight until you go to the phase 2. You want to make sure you're blocking when you see the lightning, dodge rolling, killing the orbs, and making sure you're defeating the elites if they spawn. So overall, just a rinse and repeat. Just make sure you're keeping an eye on the mechanics.
Knock.
Congrats, you've reached second phase of the boss. Now it's going to be a platform boss. You will stand on the edge, and then you want to make sure you're DPSing her. Here, there's going to be many mechanics to look out for, because you have to actually defeat her arms and wings before you can defeat her. The boss is going to have a jump mechanic where she lights up the floor, so make sure you're jumping. Same as phase 1, it's going to be an orb phase. She's going to pull you into each corner of the map with orb spawning and mob spawning. Make sure you guys get to the orbs and make sure you defeat them ASAP. Now, just like in phase 1, in phase 2, there will also be circles that you need to get inside. So make sure you're looking out for how many orbs are on top of those circles and get each player inside of these circles during this phase. So you put this above each player and she will fear you. Make sure you run back to the boss. And here it's very important that you don't stack on top of each other, but you want to stay next to each other in a line. So make sure you do that ASAP. Remember, next to each other, not on top of each other. Boss will drop crystals on top of you where you were previously standing. You want to make sure that's why you were standing close to the boss. And behind each of these crystals is going to be a safe zone. It's going to be a yellow little square which you can stand inside of. So make sure you guys split up and stand inside the safe zones that are behind these crystals. She's gonna drop down with her arm, and this is very important that you guys DPS down the arm. Make sure you're targeting the arm and staying close to the arm and DPSing it. Use remedies here. You want to drop the arm down to 50% here and make sure you're targeting the arm and not her. Now, if you do fail the arm mechanic, she's going to start spawning big ads. You want to go through the portals and defeat those ads or the ghosts that are basically coming. There are small ghosts that do spawn and go to a player, but healers can heal through this, so you don't have to defeat the small ads. Same thing again, you go back to the boss and you make a line, and remember, next to each other, not on top of each other. Crystal phase, again, behind the crystals in the safe spot, and just make sure you don't get hit by the AoE. This time she won't throw down her arm ASAP. She was going to knock you back, and then she's going to do lasers. Make sure you guys are dodging the lasers. Either you are on the left side or the right side. You have to either block or you have to dodge roll. If you're close to the laser, she does this 3 times, and then she follows up with the line mechanic. Remember the line mechanic? You have to go far away from each other to break the line. And then she finally drops down again, and this time you want to try to finish off the arm. Its last 50%, so make sure you guys are using your remedies. DPS down the rest of the arm. She goes down to the knockdown phase. Now it's going to be a rinse and repeat mechanic. You kind of want to try to split up the group, 6 players on one side and 6 players on the other side. Make sure you guys are running back to the boss when the fear happens, standing in the same line. Remember, she's also doing a laser on one player on the left side. Make sure that player stands on the left side so the laser doesn't hit anybody else. Then the crystal phase, make sure you guys stay in the safe spot during the crystal phase and just follow the rinse and repeat mechanics. Remember, there are ghost spawning. You can kill them, but the healers can out heal it.
Oh. Yeah.
She will knock you back, and there's going to be a wheeze happening, so make sure you're running together back to the boss with the group. And watch out, because she will follow up with the lasers again, depending on where you're standing. There is a safe spot in the middle of the boss, but if you're getting hit by the laser, make sure you're blocking it perfectly. And then aside from that, she's going to follow up with the chain mechanic again. Make sure you run far away from each other to split up. And then she's going to follow up with a new mechanic, which is like orange on certain players, and it will rain down arrows on top of them. So make sure you're running away and healing them up. And once boss is really low, it's going to lead to the last mechanic of the boss fight. It's going to be turrets that will spawn, yellow turrets. You make sure that everybody gets a yellow turret, and once you have it, you're going to get slowed down and you can jump and move to the place to place the turrets, because this will bring the boss down to her knees. And here you want to make sure that you're DPSing the wings to make sure that you finish off the boss here. It is incredibly important that you remember your teams, because you want to have team 1 with 6 players on one of the wings and team 2 with 6 players on the other wings. So make sure that you have each on each side, and then you can try to help each other once your side is defeated. Once the wings are defeated, make sure you guys get down from the boss. You will see that the boss will automatically lose 10% HP. So it's the last 5% left. So make sure you just defeat the boss here. Burst her down. Very simple and easy. Hopefully this guide made it a little bit easier for you guys. I wish you guys a lot of luck on the hard mode on this raid. And hopefully you guys get the juicy loot that you guys deserve.